Very lucky, all the way from, okay, all the way from, I believe you're in Canada, am I right?
Yep, I'm in Montreal.
Montreal. So that means you speak two languages.
Yes, in Quebec, we have two official languages.
Yeah.
In all of Canada, actually, it's English and French.
Fabulous. So you're bilingual.
I am.
Well, some of us are bilingual as well. We speak two languages, one of our traditional ones, and English as well. All right, let's not waste too much time because this is supposed to be an hour, and I know your time is precious. So we'll just jump right in, and we would like to know a bit about how you started. You can give us a bit of a backstory, your journey into math science, how it all started. I read a bit about it. I know it started with you and your brother, starting or carrying out science experiments in your neighborhood and so on. But I'll leave that to you to just, it's your show, it's your day. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. So
Yeah.
yes, math science has been around for a very long time. And if you would believe it, it was started when I was 13 years old. So I was 13, my older brother was 15 years old, and we had this idea that science was cool. And we wanted to find a way to get our hands on, science type of products and things, and we didn't have much money. So we had to come up with a cool way of subsidizing the things that we wanted to do. And we came up with the idea of substituting for an after-school science program at the local Y. And when we checked at this program, we realized that, the content was very clinical and it really wasn't exciting. And being 13 years old, I was looking for exciting. And we decided to try and reinvent the experience in a way that would make science fun for us and for kids. And this really original local program at the Y had something like 5 kids enrolled. And our first program involved lasers, and we rented a helium neon laser. And this is a device that was used in building buildings to keep things level. And we got our hands on a used one. We took it apart. We filled the room up with this theatrical smoke, which is a safe smoke. And the joke I make was, as this smoke was pouring out of this classroom, kids started pouring in. And really, that's
Oh,
that's how
wow.
science started. It was all about creating cool and fun experiences for ourselves and for our peers that we thought would be an interesting way to, acquire fun science-related equipment and devices and toys and things.
Oh, wow. You know what? This is what we are trying to promote with STEM Fun Fair, STEM Africa, that we want children to be able to understand that, yes, there are problems as there will be problems all over the world and all the time, and nowhere is perfect. You guys identified a problem. Science wasn't delivered in a fun way. And you decided, you know what? We are going to tackle that problem in our own creative way and look at and they would say the rest is history. And so that's what we want to also encourage, that there will be problems, there will be challenges, but those challenges are opportunities at the end of the day. So it depends on how you look at it, which lens that you look at it. So fantastic. Welcome, those of you that are just joining us as well. My name is, I didn't even get to introduce myself. My name is Fisayo Oludipe. I'm one of the coordinators for the STEM Africa event. And we're very fortunate today. We have Ron Shillian with us all the way from Canada. He is the brains behind hands-on mad science, which some of us know about already. And if we don't, then hang on to your seats and you're in for a fantastic ride today. So please do let us know where you're joining us from as well and what you are hoping to gain from this webinar as well. Fantastic. That is true. We're really thankful about that insight into your journey. So it was you and your brother, you started it at the age of, you were 13 and he was 15. But you know what? I want to also understand, because what you're telling me is like you were given the opportunity to explore. It means that your parents must have provided some form of environment that created this curiosity and, trying out something that hadn't been discovered before. So can you tell us a little bit about how your parents supported your journey?
It's a great question. So my father comes from an engineering background.
Okay.
My mother comes from a musician. She's a musician.
So some
And
creativity that there as well.
Yes, very creative. And, they both encouraged us to explore and experience the things that interested us. And, mad science goes back to a time when hands-on learning wasn't the thing. Look, everyone now
Absolutely,
learns
yeah,
about hands-on, minds-on, engaging. But back in those days when we started mad science, that wasn't a thing. It didn't exist.
yeah,
And we were the first to sit back and say, well, for now, forget the textbook. In order for
yeah,
children to develop an aptitude in science, they need to first enjoy science, but science, technology, engineering, and math.
absolutely.
Well, where we wanted to fit in is we wanted to create this space where kids are more interested in STEM. How do we get them more interested in STEM? How do we get ourselves more interested in STEM? And that came from the natural gravitating towards cool and fun and engaging and interesting. And that's how it all started. We were kids working with kids. And a fun anecdote, I started mad science and I was in the seventh grade. So I just finished primary school. I was 13 years old. And our logo, the mad science logo that we use predominantly to this day, was designed by my classmate, a girl who was in my class.
Wow.
She was 13 years old too, or maybe she was 12, and she was an artist, and she designed the Mad Science logo. I think I paid her $20 for it, 20 Canadian dollars.
She
And
should, she'll be coming back for more now.
well, she claims that we had her on this big event recently at our 30th anniversary, which was almost 10 years ago. And she told her story about us being her most famous client that paid her the least. But it goes to an interesting time and place when we weren't afraid to try because we didn't know
Yeah,
anything.
not afraid to try.
We didn't know what
That's
failure looked like because we had never failed. We had never succeeded. But we knew we wanted to do something fun, and we
yeah,
knew that we were these young, cute kids. So why not ask? And we did.
yeah. You really did. I like the things you highlighted there. You guys were collaborating without being aware you were collaborating with the girl that designed your logo, and you were not afraid to take a risk. And I think that is sometimes I think our educational system does take that away from us, and where if it's more of a rota based kind of learning, feel that if you didn't do so well in the tests, that you were not good enough, and then you have sometimes that could be a limitation to you taking the risk that you should be taking. We all should be taking risks right from when we are young, because you just never know. You might succeed and you might not. And if you fail, then we try something else as well. So thank you for sharing that. Also, moms and dads, listen to what he said. His parents gave them the opportunity to explore. So we need to be allowing our children explore things, open them up to opportunities, because you just never know that they might be your retirement plan, like creating some some multi-million billion dollar products that will just set you up for life.
Right.
Okay, let me ask the second question, which is what has been your most successful milestone and also your challenges? We would like to know the challenges you met along the way when you started, the production and the promotion of Mad Science.
All right. So success and milestones. I think the first thing I need to point out is it took us about 30 years to become an overnight success.
30.
It took about 30 years for us to become an overnight success. And think about it.
Not
So,
overnight success.
so building Mad Science was all about the multitude of decisions and choices that were made day in and day out over the years. It was definitely a very long marathon, and it was not a race. And I think a lot of young
Definitely.
people and business owners these days are looking at life and looking at work as, what's the silver bullet? What's the magic recipe that will make me successful? And they will try and measure success as something that they've done today. And when they get home for dinner, they're successful. And although it does happen, like winning a lottery ticket, in most cases, it's not how it works out. So
True, true.
you need to find something that you really love doing, and then you need to work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it. And over time, those decisions and choices grow into something that creates success. Not because it was an overnight hit, but because you worked at it for a very long time,
Yeah.
perhaps not 30 years. So I think in terms of our choices, if I look back at Mad Science and said what decisions or what were the milestones that made a difference for us.
Yeah.
So very early on in Mad Science, we realized through a wonderful mentor that I had at school. I went to business school at McGill in Montreal, and I had a professor that says, you know, Mad Science is great, but you're going to franchise it. And until that moment, I didn't even really understand what franchising was. So it started to put us on a path on, well, what would franchising look like? And how do we grow? And what type of information do we need? And what type of money do we need? So I decided that I would move to Florida and open up our first US location because we learned that if you wanted a franchise, you had to have something that you started from scratch, from zero, that someone could copy and replicate. A secret
Mhm.
sauce, a process, if you will. So in having traveled to Florida and starting from zero with no friends and no neighbors and no family, I developed a relationship with the cruise lines over there. One in particular was called Royal Caribbean. And Royal Caribbean exposed us eventually, not at first, but eventually to their entire fleet of ships and put Mad Science on all of their ships as their chief and lead smart entertainment. Now, imagine we were teaching children as the form of their lead entertainment. It was nuts. But what it taught us was a couple of things. It showed us that Mad Science had global success. In other words, even if you didn't speak English, and even if you weren't from Canada, Mad Science would work. It would work in Africa, it would work in Asia, it would work anywhere, because these were kids that were coming from all over the world. It also taught us, it also gave us some money because they paid us to do this, and we used those dollars to fund our franchising. In those days, we didn't have a family to support. All of the money,
Mhm.
all of the dollars that we brought in went into this risk venture called Mad Science. Eventually, another really wonderful landmark was we developed a relationship with NASA. So NASA, the American
Okay.
Space Agency,
Yeah.
called us up one day and they say, you know, we heard that you guys are doing this wonderful thing in different cities across the US and Canada and abroad. Can you help us make science more engaging for kids? And
Oh, wow.
it was more than 25 years ago. And you know, since then, we've consistently maintained a Congressional Space Act agreement with NASA that,
Wow.
that has helped give us the credibility we needed in those very early days.
Yeah.
And I think the third part was we were able to build this wonderful global team of energetic professionals and franchisees that every day gave their heart and soul into an idea that my brother and I started so many years ago. You know, Mad Science today has this cult-like following. It's not that it's a cult,
It
it's not.
does.
But, but people love the experience. They take Mad Science over and over again. You know, today we have kids that grew up having taken Mad Science that have children that are taking Mad Science.
Yeah, I've introduced them. That is so true.
And outside from making me feel really old, um, it created this wonderful organization of like-minded people. We have about
Yeah.
7 or 8 thousand people now that work for Mad Science. And we
Wow.
reach about 4 million kids a year live, face to face, in person through this grassroots franchising program. And what that is, you know, someone will come in, they would open a local Mad Science franchise in Botswana or New York City or Montreal or Toronto or London. And they would build these wonderful relationships with the community, with the kids, with the teachers, with the PTA president, with the community. And they would take Mad Science content and they would bring it to their local community in a way that works locally for them. So it's not that Mad
Yes.
Science is this big brand. We are lots and lots of small local grassroots brands that
Yeah,
represent this bigger brand.
I
And
understand.
that's what created our success. And it's nothing that we had planned on. There was no strategic plan and no business plan where we figured this out when we were 13 years old and we were very clever. It was just this slow moving ship of decisions that we made over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I've taken a lot from this thing that you've said, because one of the things you've said, the success did not come overnight. It means you have to go at it. You have to be consistent. You have to believe in the vision, and you have to. There should be some element of passion. But I think from what you're saying is, yes, passion is important. Yes, excitement is important. But to be successful, you also have to be consistent and go at it, and also be open to listen to other people, seek mentorship, because you had somebody that informed you, oh yeah, math science is grand, but you need to upscale it. And that upscaling for you guys was franchising. And for you to do that successfully, you had to almost start afresh in like almost like, yeah, we've done this here, but we want to see if we can do it somewhere else. So it's that ability to take risk and listen to other people as well.
Yeah, so certainly surrounding yourself and not being afraid to ask is really important. You need to surround yourself with talent. A company is as good as its weakest link. And if you're not good at everything, and you're not, you need to surround yourself with people that have complementary skills. If your entire team is just like you, you're no further along. So you need to be able to get along with others. You need to have complementary skills. And you certainly in those early days, you shouldn't be afraid to ask. You know, I saw this wonderful interview with some of the folks that worked at Hewlett Packard. It was actually hosted by Steve Jobs long before he died. And he was saying when he started, you know, he wanted to get some spare parts. He picked up the phone book and called the co-founder of Hewlett Packard and asked him for some parts, which he got for free. And he ended up getting a job working for Hewlett Packard in his facility, and learned a lot of the things he needed to learn, which gave him a leg up in life. In mad science, in those very early days, I was long before a student at McGill. I needed labware and glassware and chemicals and stuff, and this stuff was hard to get and it was expensive. I called McGill University. I said, I'm a student. I'm developing the STEM program. I need labware. I need chemicals. I need supplies. Can you help me? And they did not say no. When we first started franchising, we had no money. And I remember calling up a law firm and speaking to this franchising lawyer, and he said, you cannot afford me, but you will. And they gave me free advice for the better part of a year. And eventually they started billing us an awful lot of money, but they invested in us because they thought it was a cool idea and they liked our energy and enthusiasm. So I guess to the people out there, developing a concept like mad science or developing your own business or your own opportunity is not so much about a great idea. Yes, you need a great idea, but the world is full of great ideas that go nowhere. It requires someone who's able to exercise that idea, believe in the idea, and fight for it, and ask for favors, and ask for advice, and ask. And if you don't ask, I promise you will not get. It's true. Like a lottery ticket. You may not win the lottery if you play, but you absolutely will lose if you don't.
True. You need, I hear you on that one. I'm a big philosophy on ask that the worst they can say is no. I'm a big philosophy in that's my philosophy as well. I would always go and ask first. The worst you can tell me is no, I'm not going to do it. But then, like you rightly said, you just never know. Most of the time, they just might surprise you. So we need to be bold and courageous and put ourselves out there. Take the risk. Why not?
And look, you need to develop also a bit of that. I was just going to say, you need to have a little bit of a thick skin, in the sense that if someone says no, shame on them, not shame on you. You tried. Try again and again and again. And if it's a good idea, and if you're kind, and if you're respectful, someone will say yes.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. So let me also ask and remind everybody, we do have a poll, and we want to know, those of you that know about our STEM events, if you've heard about STEM Africa, please let us know. Please fill in the polls, and but let me give a brief background about STEM Africa for those of you that might not have heard about STEM Africa, which is one of the reasons why we're having webinars like this. STEM Africa is an opportunity for children. We're creating an avenue for mass learning where children get to explore the various aspects of STEM. There will be science opportunities where children get to investigate, do some math science even. They'll do some math science, they'll do some science investigations. There will be some technology, there will be some building, robotics, and there will also be some engineering, and of course there will be arts and various creative elements as well. So this is what we are doing our own bits as Nigerians. We also want children to have this opportunity to explore various aspects of science, because the truth about it is like STEM is actually real life. It's not just things that stand on its own. It's the world we live in, and the world is moving and changing. So if you've heard of STEM Africa, do fill in the form, tell us yes or no before the poll ends. And the poll will be ending in another minute or so, and then I'll carry on with with our next question. Thank you so much. There's so much I want to ask. Well, I can't believe that we've almost spent half an hour already talking about some. We're learning as insight into your own experiences and what you did, and taking the risk, asking questions, unlikely places. I mean, like that lawyer that you were asking for advice, that is also interesting, that we can actually reach out to people that, we might not be able to afford them right now, or we can seek good quality professional skills as well to support us on whichever one it is. Okay, moving on to my next question. Why do you believe STEM education is important for children? I know the reason why I believe in, but it would be great to hear your own insight from your own experience. How does help equip children with viable skills for the future?
So could you just repeat the question, because it jumped out for a moment. I didn't hear you.
Okay. So the next question is children, because how does participating in activities such as valuable skills for the future?
Sure. Let me just close this 1 second. So look, our goal is to inspire children to appreciate and value STEM. And the reason we do this is because in order for our nation, your nation, every nation to compete in a technologically advanced future, well, people have to go into science, technology, engineering, and math in order to be able to invent the cure for cancer or diabetes, to develop the new app that will change the world, to innovate. If you don't go into STEM, it's not going to happen. And to quote, one of the former American presidents, Ronald Reagan, he was once asked, how did it feel to grow up in an environment without cell phones and without technology and without all of these wonderful things that changed our life? And he said, it's true, we didn't grow up with any of these things. We invented them.
Yeah.
So every doctor, scientist, engineer at some point was inspired by someone to go further in STEM. If you're in the STEM field, think about it. Someone, a great teacher, a mentor, someone got you into STEM. Maybe it was mad science, maybe it wasn't. So investing in our youth is an investment in everyone's future. All cures, all technology, all software will be invested by youth that at some point love STEM and make a career in it. And this is really important. At the end of the day, going to school and learning, first, it's more than just learning. It teaches you how to think. Second, it gives you skills that can be applied towards work. And that type of work is good paying jobs and good paying work that will elevate you and your family, but will also contribute to your society. And by doing all of this, this is how you as a member of the community succeed. And so many people say, school is designed to teach the masses and you will never become extraordinary just in school. And perhaps that's true. School is there to teach everybody the basic level of skill that they need to be able to contribute to society. But it's also a wonderful place for the people that have these special skills to learn how to unleash them and how to unlock them. And it's the job of these teachers, this really important job of teachers, to be able to identify these incredible kids and help them achieve the best that they can. Teachers are the most undervalued, least appreciated people out there. And
I totally agree.
and they're the ones that are empowered and inspiring and educating and creating the innovators and the inventors and the people that will solve all of our world's problems.
I don't, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, fab. Because I felt someone maybe said they couldn't hear me. So I just wanted to be sure you can hear me. Guys, if you have any questions, anything you want to know about, please put it in the chat section. Okay? Because this is supposed to be an interactive session. I'm not only just going to be the only one asking the question. Put it in. We have an expert here, business expert, franchisee expert, creative product experts. We have the opportunity. And if we meet him in person, he might be too busy for us. So we have him here today. Let's take full advantage of this opportunity as well.
Oh, and just so you know, I make it my effort, in this community, there's a lot that I do to pay it forward. I've been lucky and successful over the years, it's true. But I've had failures as well, and failing is a really important part of success. And I've had the opportunities to give back to our community and mentor others and help new ideas and technology and AI with organizations like CDL, Creative Destruction Lab, which is an environment where people in building, the next generation of seed stage technology can get involved. I think it's really important for everyone that has been successful and everyone that has something to contribute to find the time and opportunity to give something back within their local communities. It could be something small as helping out at a local food bank. It could be something big as becoming a big brother or big sister to someone that could use it. But everyone should be taking the time and effort to contribute. So I am never too busy to do that.
Thank you so much. Good to know. But unexpected, we never know. And I think your lasting legacy that you would leave behind is that you've impacted one life. They might know you, they might not know you, or you've made a change and you've impacted. Important that when you do succeed, you give back to your community. The person you might never know the person, but you feel good about doing that.
Look, I can tell you as a legacy, it is my greatest hope that mad science outlives me. And everything that I've done over the past number of years has worked to decouple what I do directly in mad science, which I think is meaningful, important work, with making sure others can contribute to it. So I'm no longer relevant on a day-to-day basis for mad science success. And, God forbid if I disappeared off the map tomorrow, I really believe that mad science will continue. And, we've been here now for almost 40 years, and I'm hoping we're around for maybe another 40 years. And as we grow and evolve and our content adapts and changes to, a modern world, I hope that mad science continues to contribute and it continues to innovate and continues to inspire, in all corners of the world.
Amen. Amen to that. Someone's asked I want to take a few of the questions from the audience. Someone's asked that what is the future for mad science? Has your business model evolved beyond franchising?
So yes, mad science has evolved. It's actually a surprisingly good question in that, so we created a parent company called To Inspire, and we filled mad science underneath it. So To Inspire, like the number 2, inspire.com. And what To Inspire has become is a platform So Mad Science is part of To Inspire. It teaches STEM. We've launched in partnership with a group with Crayola. I'm sure it's a brand you guys know.
Yeah, Crayola, the crayon.
So we created Crayola Imagine Arts Academy, which focuses on art and creativity. So that turns STEM into STEAM. And we are now with a completely different franchise concept. So we are looking at new and innovative ways of taking our expertise and franchising and expanding it so that we can offer kids more than just STEM. How do we offer art? How do we offer drama? How do we offer different types of activities so that the kids that know us choose us more often?
Yeah. So you've added a few more stuff into your repertoire, what you're offering. You've added some art into it as well.
Yes, and we've taken our STEM content. We've included things like AI and robotics and coding and all kinds of things that kids, that didn't exist when I was a kid, that they need to be thinking about for a more modern future. So yes, we have a whole department. Their job is to create new content. They leverage this content. They test it in different satellite offices around the world, and then we kind of unleash it onto the world when we know it's ready and great. We're doing a lot more partnerships. So, we partner with the Microsofts and the Oracles and the Apples and all the different companies out there that have an interest in STEM. You could be in oil and gas, you could be in mining, you can be in tech, you could make microchips, you can develop software. Well, your future workforce is going to be coming from kids growing up in STEM. Mad Science is a really great way of encouraging children. So we've launched a whole new philanthropic channel where companies can contribute to this. And now we can bring STEM content for free into homes and classrooms around the world. So we too are trying to
looking into that.
Yeah, look, we're always open. The purpose of this call today is to, just try and inspire and excite, but certainly we're around, and anything that we can do to encourage this really important work. It's not so much that we have to do it. We just want to make sure that if other people are going to encourage STEM, we want them to do an equally good a job. And there are many, many people out there and organizations that do.
Thank you very much. We'll be looking. Thank you. Now, you so I also want to. So in addition to our STEAM event, we also have our annual STEAM. This year is linked to our theme titled And the idea behind that is that we want children to be able to identify a problem in their community, just like you guys started your business when you were 13 and at 15. We want them to identify a problem in their community and come up with a solution to solve that problem. And once they've done that, once they've identify the problem, come up with their solution, they would record themselves. We want them to record themselves presenting and talking about the problem and their prototype or their system that will solve that problem, and upload that to our STEAM Africa Fest website. Someone could put that website on the link of that website in the chat so that people can see that this competition is open to children between the ages of 7 and 16 as well. And the winners will be announced on the 20th of July, the last day of the STEM Africa event, on the last day. So we are looking forward to as many of you moms and dads or children that are signed up for the webinar. Go check that out and see if you can solve a problem in your community. You just never know, you might be the winner of our fantastic prizes. So somebody else has asked the question. Let me put that up. And the person's question is this: how does Mad Science help parents to better to be better STEM mentors to their children? So I'm here let's give you a little bit of backstory here in Nigeria. We can be a bit academic with regards to what we expect our children to do. But we are beginning to understand that, we need to give our children the opportunity to explore a bit more for themselves, let go of the reins, and let them try and be adventurous into finding out different things. But what advice can you give parents that will be on this platform regarding being better mentors towards their children when it comes to STEAM or STEM careers in particular?
It's a wonderful question. Thank you. I think first where I would start is say that parents should really empower their children in a way that brings them up rather than down. Parents should spend time with their kids. Take your cell phone, put it away. Listen to your kids, answer their questions. If you don't know the answer, find the answer together. But certainly, Nigerians, from what I know, are strong, capable, very hardworking people. And they obviously love and care for their children enormously and immensely. Investing time with their kids is important. Go outside, look at bugs, look at things, point out, things that you might notice. Ask questions, find answers, ask your children questions, listen to their answers. There's no such thing as bad students, perhaps only bad teachers. So the way you engage with your children is really important in promoting a lifelong love for something. And parents are there more than anyone else to inspire their kids. I think giving children the opportunity to succeed and the opportunity to fail is really important. Let them walk to school. Let them do things that require responsibility, that might take you out of your comfort zone because you're so nervous and so fearful that maybe they might trip or fall or do something wrong. We live in a day and an age where parents so often coddle their kids because they want the best for them.
Yeah.
But sometimes letting them out of your sight for a little bit is a good thing too. It builds, strength and resilience and autonomy. And at the end of the day, you're not always going to be there for your kids. So let them learn to be strong early.
I like that. I like what taking note of a number of things. He said, spend time with your kids. Very important. Get to know your children so that you can know what they like. And that would also help to guide you towards being good mentors and also allowing our children to fail. I agree with that. But I think for me, talking about myself as to why I became an educator. And that was a paradigm shift for me towards what failure is, or making mistakes and getting stuff wrong. I understood then when I was going for the teaching program that failing is actually a method of learning as well. So we should not be afraid to fail. Yes, we will be a bit anxious about the outcome, but having that mindset of, if I made a mistake or I failed in this venture, it is an opportunity to learn from it, not to make the same mistake again. So I totally agree with what you've said. It is an opportunity to let our children make their own mistakes, take a risk. And that's one of the ways they will be stronger, resilient individuals themselves. So thank you very much for also emphasizing that. And this is from someone that has tasted the pudding, has done the work as well. So he knows what he's talking about. He's had the experience, and so we should all take a bit of learning from that. So moving on to the next question. I can't believe time has gone. If anybody still has any questions, please put it in the chat comment so that we can take those questions before our 1 hour is up. Well, it's less than 1 hour now. We have about 90 minutes left. So the next question is, how do we encourage students to explore science? I would say STEM though, because it's science and maths. And I don't know if maths was one of the things that you enjoyed doing in school. You can tell us a bit about that in a fun and interactive way. I know science, there are experiments there, but not every aspect of science actually does have experiments where kids will be like engaged all the time. So there's certain aspect of it that is not as exciting or at least we think it's not that exciting, but they might be, you know, the other side of it that we are not aware of that would probably help us to better, or students are on board to say, okay, so this is a way I can make it interesting for myself. Because that was a problem you were looking for. Science for you was not interesting, or you wanted it to be interesting. So how can you encourage students as well to find their own path towards making a topic that is not necessarily interesting for them, but they can solve that problem themselves?
Um, I think developing an interest in STEM is dependent on great experiences. So if I can maybe just roll that question and kind of unpack it a little differently. Math science has hundreds of hours of interesting STEM activities. Like we'll teach kids about molecules and bonding in the scientific method by making slime. Or they'll learn about the principles of flight, lift, weight, drag, and thrust, for example, by building model rockets that fly 1,000 feet into the air at over 100 miles an hour, and then they come back down to Earth by parachute. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that you can do at home in your kitchen to learn about STEM and science. Like there's so many things that you can be doing. You can make your own slime by mixing white glue with certain laundry detergents called sodium borate, which you can find as a local cleaning product. You can take cornstarch and you can mix it with water. And it makes like this interesting slurry that if you touch it or poke it really, really quickly, it feels like a solid. But if you put your finger in it slowly, it's a liquid. There's so many different activities that children can get exposed to that don't require infrastructure and don't require a lot of money and don't require a lot of stuff that you just have lying around that will generate, a wonderful experience. I know when I was working, for example, in Florida, I used to do a lot of programs in inner city schools. And I found the children that had the least were the most excited by the things that I brought to them. And it's an opportunity for those children to get more out of mad science because they've seen a little bit less than others that are coming from an area where perhaps they go to private school and perhaps they're getting more than the kids down the street.
Yeah.
Is that am I kind of answering your question?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you could actually find your own resources based on what you have around you. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be waiting for the opportunity in your school, but you can actually go looking for the resources to solve your own problems. And I get what you're saying is that children from communities that tend not to have a lot of opportunities to explore science, that the little that you're bringing to them will probably be the trigger, which is what we are trying to do with STEM Africa as well. Providing this a day of exploration where we don't want only children where families that can afford the event to come for the event. We want children also from communities that can't afford it, and to also be able to have the opportunity through sponsorships and things like that to be able to come as well, so that they can also, their interest can also be sparked, which could lead to, it could be a catalyst to various other things. Future Einstein could be coming from Nigeria, you never know.
100%. And I looked at some of your reels and I love what you guys are doing at STEM Africa. And I saw the children going through these different booths and the wonderment that they had. And it was just absolutely wonderful. So congratulations on all the great work that you're doing. I think it's meaningful and important. And I'm excited by what you're doing, and I'm excited to see what happens with it.
We too, we're excited to hear the backstories of the children's journey, because sometimes some of the experiences you have in life is because of one teacher or one sentence that was said to you that you can do it, even regardless of what has happened. So one inspirational experience, one person could just set you up. Limitations might have been when you were younger. So which is one of the reasons why we're different people and providing the opportunities such as this to people like you that are giving us this opportunity to be able to provide us more. And okay.
I can give you another example, by the way,
I'm happy to hear that. Please do share.
so I mentioned we're partners with NASA. And one of the wonderful benefits of working with NASA is at the time when they were launching all these space shuttles, we had the ability of visiting a place called Banana Creek in Florida, which is out of Cape Canaveral. And we would be at the closest place to the launch that was legally lawful. And we would be there with the families of the astronauts and other astronauts. And it was incredible. So I remember sitting next to this gentleman who ended up being a NASA astronaut. And I asked him, I said, how did you become an astronaut? This is incredible, because he was, looking at the rocket and telling me what he was feeling a couple months earlier when he flew in the space shuttle.
Yeah.
And he was an indigenous gentleman. So I said, tell me your story. And he said, Ron, to make a long story short, when I was a kid, John Glenn, the famous American astronaut, came to my school. And he spoke to a whole assembly full of children. And I was one of those kids. And in that assembly, he said, well, he took questions. And he said, does anyone have any questions? And I raised my hand and I said, what does it take to become an astronaut? He said, well, young man, if you work hard and you're good in school and you study and you're really great and you get great grades, well, you can be an astronaut too. And he said, Ron, 20 years later, I signed up for the NASA Astronaut Corps. And guess who was in the review committee? John Glenn.
Oh,
and he said, young man, why do you need to be an astronaut? Why do we have to hire you? And he said, well, sir, you came to my school, my elementary school, when I was 10 years old. And you said that if I work hard and I go to school and I get good grades, I can be an astronaut. Well, here I am. And he became the United States' first indigenous astronaut.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yes, yes, yes. Our actions and our words could inspire. That is inspirational. And that is so exciting. Oh, woo! The power of words. That's people's comments are like, wow, wow, wow. I know. I'm like, also like, I felt if it wasn't that I was the one hosting the webinar, I probably would have stood up and started jumping, because I don't know the chance. It's just so exciting and inspirational that one visit gave the guy a vision, gave him determination, gave him focus, and as they say, the rest is history. He became an astronaut. The first one. He hadn't seen anybody that was like him that ever flew. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, your status or your income pack level, where your families have money, not have money, whatever. But the right words and the right situation can just make such a difference. And we hope that is the kind of stories that we'll be hearing years later as well. So when someone's asked a question, so let me ask that question. See, the person wants to know if you're still working at Math Science, what was the experience? What was that like?
I'm sorry, the voice faded, so I didn't hear the question. I didn't get it again.
Can you hear me?
Sometimes your voice does come in and out.
Yeah, the network seems to be unstable at this end.
So maybe for the purpose of the question, if you take yourself off video, I'll hear it and you can come back on.
Can you hear me?
I can.
The person's question is, are you still working at Math Science with a family member?
So if I think I got your question, am I still working at Math Science, and how is it working with my brother as a family member?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Working with family is often hard, especially with a business that we created together. And my brother and I are two different people with two different ideas. But it's work, and you need to find a way to find a common ground. And we often argue and we have differences of opinion and we see things differently. But I think we've learned to trust the strengths that we have in each other. and we try and stay in our own lane. So, he's good at certain things. I'm good at other things. I rely on him for his strengths. He relies on me for mine. And this way, we are more efficient and more effective as a team, and we step on each other's toes much less often.
Right. So everybody's what I've taken from what you said is understand your strength, understand the strength of others that you work with, and then find that balance. Can you hear me?
I can. In fact, I would say that if you're going to start a business with someone, you need to find someone that is not like you, that doesn't think like you, that doesn't have skills like you. They have different skills and different talents. And it's far too easy to try and find someone that is a lot like you, because like-minded people tend to want to congregate together. It's really important, if you're very creative and you're less strong on finance, for example, find someone that is less creative and stronger in finance. Try and find people with the complementary skills that you need so that your business is well-rounded. Because as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this webinar, a company is only as good as its weakest link. And it's really important that when you hire people and you bring on partners, you need to bring on people that are better than you. My greatest compliment is finding someone that can do their job better than me. And as they should, they're specialists. If I can do someone else's job better than them, that's not a good sign.
Totally, yeah.
Entrepreneurs are generalists. We're not particularly good at anything. We're just good at assembling people that help us get things done.
I like that. Entrepreneurs are generalists. We don't have a specific skill, but we're good at bringing people together.
Well, I was speaking to someone the other day, and they were saying, Ron, what are you good at? And I'm like, I'm good at helping other people fall into a vision and execute strategically and execute with excellence. I'm not particularly great at finance. I'm good at finance. I'm not great at finance. I'm not a great product developer. There's so many things I'm not good at. But what I am good at is finding something and getting people to wrap myself around that success.
Yeah. So it's good to know your strength. Identify your strength and then to partner with you towards the
Yes, I identify.
I like it.
Identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses, and embrace them both. No one is good at everything, and if you think you are, you're wrong. And if you're able to know what you're good at, and if you're more importantly able to know where you're weak, it's much less difficult surrounding yourself with people that fill those voids.
Absolutely, so true. We've learned so much, but I still have another question. And if anybody still has, before I ask the last question, we have another poll. The poll is if you will be attending the STEM Africa event, please let us know. And so on. So please put up the second poll. And before we move on to the end of the session. So I want to know, our next question is, so the poll is, have you registered or bought your tickets for the STEM Africa Fest? Let us know. We would like to know who you are. And so on. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to our last question is, what do you think more children should consider? Oh, sorry, not what. Why do you think more children should consider pursuing STEM career? What are the opportunities and benefits, considering the AI revolution that is taking over the world now? Why do you think children should consider that job as a STEM career?
Well, maybe roll it back a bit. STEM careers are important. I would start by saying education matters.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first thing you get when you study is you learn how to think critically. When I went to school, I don't remember most of the math that I learned, and I remember studying so hard for it. One would say, well, you studied trigonometry and algebra and statistics and all. You don't remember any of it. What's the point of having learned it to begin with? And I would say, well, I maybe don't remember that math, but I learned how to think critically and solve those problems. And what I took away from those math classes that I don't remember was the ability to think. So first and foremost, education matters because it teaches children how to think critically. STEM, of course, is the future of everything. Whatever has not yet been invented will be invented by someone in STEM, more than likely. If we're talking AI, AI is machine learning, and well, you need to go into software development and you have to learn about machine learning and you have to do all of these things in order to be able to contribute. Someone will go into these fields and will move the needle further, and they won't be able to do that unless they learn. And the easiest way to learn these things is to go to school. You could be self-taught, but it'll be much more effort. And the more young people that take time and develop an interest in STEM, well, the more success and innovation their community, their country, and the world will experience. So we as a people, as a global people, we need people to go into STEM because, well, who's gonna cure the next COVID virus that comes around?
Very good question.
Who's going to develop, the cure for cancer or for diabetes? Or who's going to develop the next great gadget like the iPhone that changes our world? Well, it's going to all more than likely come from kids that went into STEM that are in their 20s and 30s. So what I would hope and what I would wish is more kids go into STEM. And the reason that these people will go into STEM and will pursue these careers fall squarely on these wonderful mentors. Teachers are so important. They're so undervalued, but they're so relevant in taking a child and helping them realize that they have potential and turning on that spark of imagination that will set them on this new career path. And I know so many teachers that take their own salary and their own money and they go to the store and they buy supplies and materials that they don't normally have from their school, just so that they can deliver that class and that module and that content themselves. So I tip my hat and I thank every teacher out there that cares, that feels that their work is important, and goes out of their way to inspire children, because everyone that is doing something great in STEM did it because they were inspired by someone, and that someone very often is a teacher.
True. Oh my goodness, we dealt with so many nuggets. And I was so thankful for the opportunity again. And on this journey with us as well. Thank you so much. Please, can everybody some thank you, show some love, please, as comments there. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we will continue to reach out to collaborate supporting the education system in this part of the world in any way that you can guide us towards that. So thank you. And for those of you that haven't your STEM Africa Fest tickets, we're selling it at a discounted price, early bird. Please do go and buy your tickets today and tell somebody about it. Bring your children. It's the kids that we are looking out for here. So bring as many children as you can for this STEM Africa event. Try and as well, we're looking for people to sponsor some groups of children from different communities as well. And the link is there. We'll share the link again. So please. And thank you so much, Ron. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We will send you the copy of the video once it's done. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.